Welcome into NRG Stadium, where the Houston Texans will play their final 2 games of the 2020 season. Today, the Texans take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The last time these two teams met, it was Deshaun Watson's birthday, his first NFL start, and he led the Texans to a 13-9 win against the Bengals on primetime. Now, 3 years later, the Texans hope for a similar outcome, but they'll have to do it against a Bengals team coming off an upset Monday night win against the Steelers. Watson, named to his 3rd consecutive Pro Bowl, is coming off a week where he completed passes to 8 different receivers. In that game at Indianapolis, David Johnson was a perfect 11 of 11 for 106 yards. But today the offense will have to adjust with the loss of right tackle Titus Howard, placed on IR. Roderick Johnson, who started in Week 11 against the Patriots, at left tackle will hold it down on the right side. What do the Texans need to do to snap their 3-game losing streak? We've got the week's top news. Mark Vandermeer joins the show, and we sit down with tight end Kahale Waring. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon, starts now.
Rock and roll! Touchdown! Deshaun Watson! Here comes JJ! The Texans are the AFC South champions again!
Welcome into Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. I'm here with my good friend Drew Dougherty. We're going to get into a lot of news for today's show, but first, we're going to catch up with the voice of the Texans, Mark Vandermeer, up in the booth. Mark, how's it going today?
It's going great. You know, look, I love game day no matter what the situation is. No winning season possible, no playoffs, obviously. You can't even knock the Bengals out of anything because they're out of it. But look, there's so much history between these two teams. I think there's a lot of drama here today with the Bengals quarterback situation. Got to keep Watson healthy going into the offseason, and got to get a couple of wins here, starting with today, to leave a better taste in your mouth as far as what's on the field moving into the future.
Hey, Mark, if you go back to 2008, and if you include the 2 playoff wins, the Texans have won 8 of the last 9 games they've played against the Bengals. You just mentioned Watson. The last time the Texans played, he was wearing a tuxedo and sunglasses as he got on the bus to go to that game. It was his birthday. He got a victory, and it was kind of his coming out party professionally for the Texans. What do the Texans and Deshaun need to do to keep him upright, keep him healthy, and get him the 30-touchdown passing mark that you've always talked about?
Look, that was a great day. We'll never forget that day, his first start, short week, no tight ends available. I think they had Evan Bayless just off the practice squad. I mean, he barely knew the playbook. This was a monumental win at the time because it started the Watson era, and he didn't throw the ball much. He ran the ball well, had that half-a-field touchdown run as the only TD of that game. I just think that the history between these two, it's fascinating to me. The Bengals won the first 3 games of the series, by the way, including a 38-3 blowout right here in year 1 when the Texans had a chance to go 3-5 at the halfway point. But look, today it's all about football for football's sake. Let's have some fun and see if the Texans can get that W and break a 3-game losing streak.
Well, in that first start against the Bengals, there were no tight ends, but it seems like we're really running low on running backs today, Mark. We saw no C.J. Prosise. It's really going to be just David Johnson, with Duke Johnson also ruled out. Do you think that he's going to have the sort of game he had last week where he was catching passes for over 100 yards? How do you think it's going to go today for the run game?
Well, I'm having trouble hearing you, but I got to say, I heard David Johnson in there, and this is going to be another big day for him because everybody saw the tape of what he did as a receiver last week. And I still think, yeah, they got to get the tight ends more involved than they have recently. But let's just see how it all plays out today. David Johnson is going to be targeted a lot. I think they go to the tight ends, but are these receivers going to keep it going? QT, Hanson, these are things we're going to be watching this afternoon. Looking forward to the game.
All right, thanks so much. You can listen to Mark on Sports Radio 610, along with Andre Ware and John Harris on the sideline. Week, J.J. Watts faced a lot of quarterbacks. He could face Ryan Finley for the first time today if the Bengals continue to go with him as they did on Monday night. J.J. Watt did watch that Steelers game as both of his brothers were playing in it. He talked about what he learned from that Bengals offense from watching that Monday night game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've watched a lot of film. I watched the game live on Monday night with my brothers, obviously. He did a very good job going against a very tough defense and didn't necessarily pass the ball a whole lot. I think they had 13 passes. But he did a good job. He did some good things in the running game as well. Obviously, the touchdown run that he had, and some of the zone read stuff that they've done. So to get a win against a team like that, it was very good for them, and they're playing tough football. They played a great game, and so we're looking forward to an opportunity and a challenge.
Well, last week at Indianapolis, Titus Howard suffered a pretty scary concussion, one that required him to stay overnight in Indianapolis. He rejoined the team on Monday, but then later was placed on IR. The Texans will turn to Roderick Johnson at right tackle. He started at left tackle just a few weeks ago when Laramie Tunsil was out against the Patriots. Offensive coordinator Tim Kelly has a lot of confidence that Johnson is up to the task.
Yeah, Rod's done a great job of really preparing for this moment. We called upon him, I believe it was the New England week when LT was down, and he came in and performed at a high level. He's kind of been Johnny on the spot for us over the past couple of years, and he's come in for the most part and done a really good job. So he's got a great opportunity on Sunday, and we're excited to see him go out there and play well.
Well, Deshaun Watson has had another year where he set all sorts of career firsts and career highs. He wanted to thank his offensive linemen who've been in the trenches with him all along. Last week was Christmas, and Deshaun was asked what he got his O-lineman for Christmas presents.
I did. Before I did this interview, that's why it took me so long. I was handing out the presents. I gave them some Hublot watches. So appreciate, the CEO of Hublot and Craig Robbins down in Miami, the Miami Design District, my, agent Brian Burney, to getting those things on a late notice, shipped out and getting them here safe. So, it's dope. And everyone enjoyed it. So got something on their wrist to kind of hang out with.
Fun stuff there for Deshaun and the O-linemen. And let's talk about some of the guys that are going to be playing with Deshaun and those offensive linemen today against the Bengals. We get into the inactive, so we know no Duke Johnson. We know no C.J. Prosise. Also, Isaiah Coulter, the rookie wide receiver, is not going to suit up today, nor will corner Phillip Gaines, and then quarterback Josh McCown not going to go. So who will play running back? Well, I think it's going to be a combo of what we've seen in the last few weeks. David Johnson, Buddy Howell's gotten some carries, and we saw some Scotty Phillips. Now, Hilliard, the guy who was signed about a week and a half ago, he is active today, so he might get a chance to get some time on special teams, maybe even a carry or two. Going to be fascinating to see what happens there. But right before the game, the Texans found out that Eric Murray has gone onto the COVID-19 list. So no Eric Murray today at safety. That means, well, Lonnie Johnson Jr. and A.J. Moore are going to get a lot of action. And then, of course, Whitney Merciless also not going to play today either. So Jacob Martin's going to start in his place. Might we see a little bit more of Jonathan Grenard as well? Those are going to be fascinating developments on the defensive side of the ball. But that's who's in, that's who's out, that's who's taking the field for the Texans today, Deepi.
Yeah, that's a lot of changes for that Texans defense. Also last week, pulled up from the practice squad to the active roster was defensive tackle Zoya Alufahe. So he may get some action today for the first time as well. There's a lot of moving parts on that defense. It'll be something to look forward to today as we watch the game. And Dontrell Hilliard, whether it's on special teams or in the offense.
Yeah, it could be in the offense. We never know.
First time suiting up as a Texan. So all things to watch for. All right, let's turn to our questions. Fan questions presented by Churrasco's. We've got questions coming in. We've got people watching from everywhere. We've got Benjamin in Austin. Hello, Benjamin. Thank you so much for watching. Drop in your questions. We'll try to answer them as best as we can. Lewis on YouTube says, will Scotty Phillips play today? Lewis, I think that's a very, very likely possibility with no Duke Johnson and no C.J. Prosise. We're going to see a little bit more of Scotty Phillips, maybe even more than we saw last week at Indianapolis.
Perhaps, yeah, as we just are checking out Deshaun Watson on the screen there. Yeah, Phillips is an intriguing guy. Played at Ole Miss. He was a undrafted free agent, so he's a rookie. He got a little bit of action last week. It was really his first significant action in the offense. He's going to do some things there. I'm fascinated to see what he does because Buddy Howell has also provided a teeny tiny bit of a spark, when he's gotten the ball and been able to run. So how much do those two get action-wise when you have David Johnson, who caught all those passes last week in the loss at Indianapolis? Definitely think Scotty's going to play, Lewis. So that's a good question. And Jake, he's asking where he can watch the game. This is a Fox broadcast today, Deepi. You knew that. I did not know that earlier in the week. I mistakenly said CBS, but it's on Fox. So check it out there. don't do CBS.
I actually thought it was CBS as well. It
I was
actually
covering for
switched.
you, yeah.
It switched a few weeks ago, but thank you for covering for me. It is on Fox. You can also listen on Sports Radio 610. Mark Vandermeer, John Harris, and Andre Ware do a great job of bringing you the game from right here inside the stadium. All right, Annabelle says, what do you expect from Chad Hansen and Kiki QT? We expect some great things from both of those guys. We saw how the game ended last week for Kiki QT, and really everybody, including Deshaun Watson, stood up for Kiki and said the Texans would not have been in the position they were in to win that game had Kiki not scored that final touchdown. So that final play of the game on the offense where, he fumbled near the goal line, just such a heartbreaking way to end the game. It seems like the Texans against the Colts have had two just very deja vu-like moments where they've lost like that. But he said Kiki's just trying to make a play. He's gonna be back out there today. And Chad Hansen, obviously coming off his first game with an NFL touchdown, he's been doing some great things. I had a chance to catch up with him. His story is tremendous.
Yeah, each of those guys clearly can play. They have spots in this league. I think they've got spots on this team for the future. Both of them can do different things, obviously. Kiki more of a slot guy, very, very explosive. And like you mentioned, Texans would not have been in the position to perhaps take that lead or tie the game up had he not scored the touchdown earlier. Tim Kelly, the coordinator, said it. He was trying to make a play, and an all-pro linebacker came and made a play on him. That sort of thing happens. The Texans were in desperation mode. So, hey, normally we might have seen Kiki relegated back to, viewership status and not being back. You can't do that right now. You are down to the nitty-gritty. It's Kiki, it's Chad Hansen, it's Brandon Cooks, and it's Stevie Mitchell playing wide receiver. So you're going to need him. You're going to call on him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys can do. Because Chad Hansen, he was, he got a touchdown last week as well. He's looked solid. Those guys can play. And another guy who we're going to hear from in just a little bit, and Kahale Waring, the tight end, might get a little bit more action as well. He caught 2 passes last week. His first 2 of his NFL career, Deepi.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go to David's question. He wants to know who will be the sleepers of the game. I always find this an intriguing question, and I always have picked the tight ends in recent weeks, and I've been wrong. But you know what? I'm going to go David Johnson because I think this Bengals defense is a little bit suspect against the run, and David did a great job last week in catching passes out of the backfield. But I think that, maybe he's found some momentum, so maybe he does continue with that and have another big game. So I'm going to go David Johnson just because the Texans really have no other backs to turn to besides him. We mentioned no Duke Johnson, no C.J. Prosise. They've got the other guys, but I just don't see them getting as many carries.
I like that choice. That's a good one. I'm going to go defense then, since you went offense. I'm going to go with Charles Omenihu because Xavier Su'a-Filo is on the offensive line over there in Cincinnati, and you remember Xavier Su'a-Filo from here. So I think he's going to get a steady diet of J.J. Watt. I think he's going to get a steady diet of Charles Omenihu. Charles is continuing to grow into his game. He is, as Romeo Cornell pointed out, the guy with the longest arms on the team. He's figuring out how to use them. And as we've seen, he can get to the quarterback. So look out for Chuck Omenihu and look out for Jacob Martin as well. What a great August he had. And in spurts, he's been, pretty good here with the Texans. He's going to play a lot more today. No Whitney Merciless. So the path to getting to the quarterback may be a little bit easier because he's going to get more reps for Jacob Martin.
I think Jacob Martin's a great pick as well because he'll get when it seems like when he is on the field, he's very effective in rushing the passer and getting those sack numbers up. So hopefully today with more reps, we see more stats from him as well.
And you know me. I mean, you chose one, but I kind of covered all bases and chose multiple.
He opens everybody's Christmas presents, not just his own.
I will ruin your Christmas, not just hers.
That's why you let him go last so that you can open all your presents first, just FYI. Cody says, can we expect to see more Kahale Waring today? Drew, I think you talked about a little bit more. It seems like we're seeing a little bit more and more of him every single week, doesn't it?
Look, the guy can play. And I've said that a few times about different people on the show, but I have to because they've been relegated to the bench or inactivity for the bulk of their careers. When Kahale Waring got here, he had an excellent rookie minicamp. He leaped off the page at you. He was making plays. Nice OTAs. He was starting to do really good things in that first training camp in 2019. You go up to Green Bay. He was causing fits for those Packers defenders, and then he gets a concussion, and you didn't see him at all last year. Same sort of thing this year. You don't get to see much of Kahale. But then when he finally does get on the field after a few games, they went to him, and he made plays. He made plays last week. So let's see a little bit more of that. Cornell said this is a guy who clearly has a future in the league. So let's kind of speed things up and get the future going a little sooner than later.
Yeah, and he's just had the injury bug. So he's just not been healthy and able to get on the field and stay on the field. So now he can maybe build on some of the success he's had this year, build a little bit of chemistry with Deshaun. We've liked what we've seen from Kahale Waring. You actually had a chance to sit down with him a little bit earlier in the week. I know that, we saw him as a rookie, and we haven't really seen too much of him since. So this year he's sort of coming out on his own. But you had a chance to talk with him, and let's see a little bit of Drew's one-on-one with Kahale Waring.
We've got tight end Kahale Waring with us. And Kahale, it's great to see you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And let's start with this. You got your first 2 NFL catches last weekend. How sweet was that for you after, it'd been about a year and almost 2 years in waiting?
Yeah, I felt pretty good. It was a big relief. Looking forward to, just contributing and keep doing my job.
Yeah, and on the big gain, I noticed you popped up. You did the slime move. That had to be kind of fun for you, right? After seeing the guys do it all these years.
Yeah, I ran back to the huddle as soon as Deshaun threw me the ball. I said, "I got you, slime," and Deshaun left. So.
I bet he liked that. What's it been like working with him over these last 2 years? I'm pretty sure you spent a little bit of time with him in the offseason, like Chad Hansen did, like Kiki QT did, catching passes from him. What's that been like for you?
It's been good. Chad and I lived together in the off season. We live together now too. We're roommates, kind of year round lately since he came to the Texans. So we always just wherever Deshaun was, tried to be in his ear as much as we could and just go follow him.
What do you think you gained from that?
Just getting to know him a little better outside the team. Just build a little chemistry so that when we get to camp, we're ready to rock.
Awesome. Now, you had about a dozen snaps last week, 15 snaps the week before. What do you see for yourself the rest of the 2020 season? There's 2 games left. And what do you see from yourself moving forward in the future?
Yeah, I just try and take advantage of the opportunities I'm given. Wherever the coaches throw at me, I'm going to be ready for it. So that's what I look forward to continuing for the rest of the season.
Good stuff. All right, you got the Bengals on tap. They're coming off a pretty impressive Monday Night Football win. When you look at their defense on tape, what are the first few things that stand out to you, Kahale?
They're physical. They're always around the ball. It's gonna be a good game. They played the Steelers really well last night. You saw they came out with the win, and we look forward to giving them a good run for their money too.
What have you learned the most about yourself in these reps you've gotten in games this year?
Really just going out there, just getting a feel for playing in the game. It's been a long time coming, and I'm just really out there just trying to have fun, taking advantage of all these reps and all these opportunities I get, make the most of it.
Yeah, tell me about the tight end room. It's a pretty varied group. It's got you. It's got Pharaoh Brown, Jordan Akins, and Darren Fells. Out of that group, who is the most athletic? Because, you got the water polo background. You can hoop. Yeah. And then Darren Fells was a professional basketball player overseas. Jordan Akins was a professional baseball player for a while. And Pharaoh Brown, he can do a lot of different things. Who's the most athletic?
Shoot, most athletic. I'm just going to have to keep it on the line. Everybody's real athletic. I'm not going to pick a certain name because, you see it on game day. You saw Fells, 8-9 touchdowns last year. You see Ake last game. I think he made a pretty acrobatic catch. Pharaoh, he's 6'7", 275 out there, stiff arming people, running by. A pretty diverse tight end group, and great personalities as well. Super fun every single week with those guys.
Good stuff. Well, here's to a win on Sunday against the Bengals. Best of luck that Sunday, the rest of the year, and into the future, Kahale.
All right. Appreciate you having me.
As the tight ends warming up there right on the field. Kickoff just about 40 minutes away. We're answering your fan questions presented by Tarasco's, and Tammy wants to know what channel is the game on. It's a very popular question today because the game is not on CBS. For all you people that don't have CBS, it's on Fox, so you're in luck today. Fox will be carrying the game here at a noon kickoff, and Sports Radio 610 as always. And Jason wants to know, what are the keys to a win today? Jason, that's always a great question. Drew, I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Because I think you could go in a number of different ways.
I can go in a number of different ways. Okay. The Texans have been miserable in terms of turnover rate differential this year. They have not gotten any takeaways. They're worst in the league in that category. They're about top 10 when it comes to not turning the ball over. They've been good about that. They've not turned the ball over, but they can't get a takeaway to save their lives. Bengals, not really much better. They're maybe one or two better. So whichever team gets a takeaway and doesn't turn it over, they're probably going to win this game. Now, I know that's true of whatever, but these two teams have been just awful in that respective category. So do that. Win the turnover differential battle, and I'll say this. Don't get gashed on the ground. These guys can run the ball. The Bengals are pretty good about that. They've got a stable of guys that can do some damage on the ground. Don't let them do too much damage, and let Deshaun do his work, and you'll be fine. And another thing, obviously the roof is open. We got sunshine. We got wind blowing. That's nice. And the Texans are wearing their Color Rush unis. So for all of you who care about uniforms and good luck and all that stuff, the very first time they wore their Color Rush uniforms was at Cincinnati. In that game that Deshaun Watson started his very first NFL game on a Thursday night, they won that one. Maybe they'll win another one today. I think you got to go with the better quarterback, and I don't care who's starting for the Bengals because Finley and Allen are not as good as Deshaun Watson. I think the Texans win because of that.
I think that you're very right there, Drew. And as far as the turnovers, the Texans have not forced a turnover since that win against the Lions. It's been a pretty dry spell the last 3 weeks.
It's remarkable.
No forced fumbles, no fumble recoveries, no interceptions. It's something that they were asked about repeatedly this week. So they really need to sort of get that going. They only have 2 games left, but it'd be nice to get some takeaways for this defense. And I'm going to say get after the quarterback because you've got Jacob Martin out there. Mm-hmm. I know your defense is banged up, but with a guy that is coming off a short week, yes, they won against the Steelers, but this defense needs to get after the quarterback. You know, he's inexperienced. They've got a little bit of film on him, so they should be able to get some sacks and at least make him uncomfortable for the day. So I'm gonna say that. And Deshaun, I mean, just do you.
Yeah.
Just do you. Just be Deshaun. I hope he does pass that 30 touchdown
That'd be nice, wouldn't
record.
it? Yeah, it'd be good. And I think he can. I don't think it's a stat that's out of the realm of possibility. And before we go, I want to make sure we thank Frederick in France for chiming in. He always catches us on game day. So thank you, Frederick. Hope you're having a great time over there in France.
Yes, and I also want to give a shout-out to Tyler Marcotte, who got engaged over the weekend. He runs this show for us. He sprinted back from Michigan to do this show for us. Newly engaged. Congratulations to you and Jesse. We are so happy for all of you. And we are so happy for all of you Texans fans joining us for Texans Unlimited presented by Verizon. That's going to do it for today's show. Be sure to check out HoustonTexans.com. Download the mobile app. Special thanks to everyone that worked on this show, and special thanks to you for watching. And as always, go Texans.